shop. So this is what we're going to do. You never know because it's like title weekend now, right? So if you are still if you're still alive and you have questions, 916-339-1140 is the text line. The phone number is 1-800-920-1140. Of course, you can go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140, and plop your fantasy question into the chat window. But I'm going to ask KC kind of a lot of general questions to try to cover as much ground as possible. So, KC, thanks for joining us as always. It is much appreciated. Let me first ask you, how do you handle guys that are, on teams that have nothing to play for?
I avoid them like the plague if I can. If they've got zero to play for, if the team has zero to play for, players in the NFL adopt a maximum earnings at all times, meat attitude. It's very well known throughout the league. So they're going to play for themselves, but you just know. It's just like if you work in an office and you know you're going to have, hey, we're right before a holiday weekend. So many people are going to just go half speed and all that. You're going to do the same thing on a football team. It's people just like everybody else. So I try and avoid them because you're playing for upside, and when you have that sort of element in there, if you can avoid it, it's good to do it.
By the way, I forgot to remind people we'll be joined by Kings assistant coach Jay Triano in about 15 minutes, so you want to stay tuned for that as well. Let's go out to the text line, KC. Derek Carr was this person's starting quarterback. They need a quarterback. Do you have any suggestions?
If Brock Purdy's still available, he's the fourth quarterback since 1950 to pass for 2 more touchdowns in his first 3 starts. And he also had 2 in his billing. He'd be a spot. I don't mind Mike White in that matchup. Gardner Minshew, if he's available, he's solid. Even Baker Mayfield, as crazy as it might sound, I think that he could put up a decent number of points against the Chargers. I don't think it'd be great, but I wouldn't be surprised to see 15-17. So should be a number of good options out there.
KC Joyner is with us, of course, footballscientist.com, also from The Athletic, does a Thursday Night Football blog for The Athletic as well. If you have fantasy questions, 916-339-1140 is the text line, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. You can also plop your question into the chat window. So Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, both officially out tonight, KC. There are a lot of running backs that are banged up right now. Give us some names that have snuck into your top 10 this week because of all the unknowns.
A.J. Dillon is up there. He's actually 7th on the board. Zeke has been he's been on the border of RB1, RB2. He's going to be a 1 tonight, obviously, because of the matchup there. I've got him rated probably higher than most. I think Kenneth Walker's going to bounce back this week. He's been kind of struggling of late, but I think he'll bounce back quite well this week. I like DeAndre Swift. He had a terrible week last week, but he's been doing fairly well before that. And the Bears give the Lions one of the best matchup point totals of the weeks. So I like him. Wouldn't mind Bam Knight in leagues. Tyler Algier, I think he'll be a solid RB2. Could be a good flex candidate for the Falcons. So there's some guys out there who still can put up some points.
KC, quarterbacks that you love this week.
My top 10, Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Fields, Cousins. No surprises there. I got Prescott, Goff. Number 7, Scott probably surprised, but I really like that matchup against the Bears. I think Lawrence is good. Brady. He's been somebody who's not put up good games. The Panthers have a terrible pass defense. I think he could put up 300 yards in this game. I think he could push towards 20. Maybe he won't quite get there, but I like him. Mentioned Purdy already, and I think Geno Smith actually bounces back this week against the Jets. I think there's going to be some upside for him compared to what he's been of late.
Fantasy football expert KC Joyner with us on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Back to the text line. Need a flex, Kittle, Pittman, or Josh Jacobs?
I don't like Jacobs' offense. I don't like Pittman with that offense. And Kittle, the way he's played the past couple of weeks, and his matchup is solid this week, I've got to get Kittle in lineups and hope he can keep that magic going.
We stick to the text line. Need a flex again. Dobbins, Dotson, Slayton, or Pickens?
Dobbins, Dotson. I'll take I don't like Dobbins because I don't like the matchup. I'll take Dotson because they played very well. I like Wentz coming back to that offense. He's put up some really good numbers. He might be the number 1 in that offense over McLaurin. If not, he's 1A. I like where he's at. I'll play the hot hand there.
KC Joyner with us, 916-339-1140. Text line, phone number 1-800-920-1140. YouTube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. If you're watching, give us a thumbs up. Help us fight that algorithm that YouTube uses. KC, we go back to another text. Assuming Debo and Lockett play, are either of them startable?
Lockett supposedly looked good in practice today. I mean, Pete Carroll will tell you everybody looks good because he's that kind of an optimist. But I've got Lockett rated 22nd on my wide receiver board, so I'm okay there. Debo, same kind of thing. I've got to see what his practice looks like. I've got him 29th on my board. He might move higher depending on how the practice goes tomorrow, but I'm probably still going to put him in as a flex unless I've got a really good option to them.
Interesting question on the text, KC. So this owner has Devontae Adams, of course. Derek Carr getting benched. Jarrett Stidham now the starting quarterback this weekend against a very tough San Francisco defense. Do you actually think, do you entertain not playing Adams this weekend?
Yeah, because you're trying to avoid floors is one of the things you're trying to do when it comes to all this. You definitely don't want to have a floor. Having said that, the 49ers do have some coverage issues. So, I mean, Adams, I talk about my matchup points total, 1 to 100, 100 being the best, most favorable. Adams is sitting with 86 matchup points just because the one thing San Francisco hasn't done particularly well, they've struggled in coverage. So I'm probably still putting him in as a flex. But again, it depends on who else you have in your roster. If you've got another really good option in place, maybe who doesn't have that floor, I would consider that option. But I think Adams is still going to be a top wide receiver one this week.
KC joining with us, just a few more. Quarterbacks, KC, the guys you might not like as much as you have liked in recent weeks.
Guys I might not like as much. Not a whole lot of players on that list because I think there's a lot of really bad quarterbacks this week. Rodgers, I think, is not going to do as well as he's been doing of late. Daniel Jones, I get him outside the one because the Colts pass defense has been better than expected of late.
All right, wide receiver ones, they're spoken for the most part, right? So give us some high production possibilities at wide receiver 2.
Wide receiver 2, high production possibility, Adam Thielen. Sounds crazy, but he's in my top 10 as far as upside plays this week at wide receiver because he's got a fantastic matchup, and he's been doing fairly well of late. I think they'll spend all kinds of time trying to split on Jefferson. They won't really do that, but it's going to allow Thielen to be a counterpunch guy. I'm definitely getting him in the lineup this week.
KC, it's been fantastic again this year, man. I thank you for all the time that you give us. It is much appreciated, and thanks for helping us out with these fantasy questions, and hopefully we'll catch up with you during the offseason at some point to go over some stuff.
Sounds like a plan. Appreciate it.
Thank you, KC. Again, footballscientist.com, also at The Athletic. I've worked with KC for the last few years. I actually think he's very good at what he does, and I love catching up with him week to week. So there goes KC Joyner on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.